Lough is located in the Republic of Ireland and it sits on the border between counties Roscommon and Sligo. Lough is designated as a special area of conservation under the EU Habitats Directive. The lake is characterised as having hard oligomesotrophic water with benthic vegetation of charophyte species. The lake is almost 1,500 hectares in size with an average depth of 9 metres. Lough is significantly spring-fed, making it unusual in comparison to most other Irish lakes. There are also feeder streams which are very important for this noted wild brown trout fishery. Charophytes are one of the keynote species recorded for these types of freshwater marl lakes. They are large green algal species which when healthy can grow to form meadows and provide food and shelter for Lough wild brown trout population and its many benthic invertebrates. Lough is currently designated as being in unfavourable condition, with invasive alien plant species making up a significant portion of the unfavourable conservation evaluation. To determine the extent of the invasive alien plant species in Lough, an overall lake baseline survey was carried out in the summer of 2018. The baseline survey included an assessment of all aquatic plant species. The overarching aim of the survey was to determine the extent of the invasive alien plant species in the lake and to inform conservation measures. Once exact sites for surveying around the lake were selected, transects were placed perpendicular to the shoreline and extended 100 metres or to the euphotic zone. The percentage cover was recorded at each interval using the Daffer scale. Water depth and GPS coordinates were recorded. Resulting from the survey work, a number of areas were identified and selected for macrophyte cutting and a jute trial. The aim was to improve the condition of the lake. Regarding the macrophyte cutting, 2 prime angling locations were selected: Lough Bay on the east of the lake and Laundry Bay on the western shore of the lake. The aim of this was to target an area where macrophyte growth was so dense it was not only impeding on the charophyte growth but also having a negative impact on one of the lake's main stakeholders, the anglers. The areas selected were prime fishing spots whereby the macrophyte growth had become so excessive that access to the lake was becoming a problem. Alongside dense macrophyte growth, dense strands of the invasive species Nuttall's pondweed, or Lough natalii, was discovered to be widespread throughout the lake. It was discovered in 21 of the 27 transects. Lough natalii is a native plant of North America. It was first recorded in Ireland in the early 1990s and is currently widespread in lakes and rivers in the country. It is not known when or how Lough natalii was introduced to Lough, but it is likely that the plant was introduced inadvertently on an angling boat or trailer that had travelled from an infested water body. Lough Bay was an area identified as having dense, thick growth of this plant and so was selected as the site to trial an innovative technique for its removal called jute matting. Both mechanical cutting sites supported dense volumes of native broadleaved pondweed species Potamogeton and the invasive alien plant species Lough natalii. This cutting took place in September 2018. V-blades were used to mechanically cut the submerged weed. These blades were towed behind a boat and were designed to cut the weed at lakebed level, taking as much of the roots as possible. Following the mechanical cut in Laundry Bay, the percentage cover for the tall Potamogeton species decreased significantly and only straggling stands of the plant remained. The cut had a less dramatic impact on the low-growing charophyte species and the Lough natalii, probably reflecting the fact that many of the stands were close to the lake bed and hence less accessible to the V-blades. 1 year later, a resample was conducted and it was found that there was no major difference in the amount of tall, leafy Potamogeton vegetation visible at or near the water surface in the sections that had been cut and those that had remained uncut. This trial demonstrated to the team that more severe methods were necessary to remove the threat of invasive alien plant species from Lough in order to restore the native charophyte community. From here, a jute trial was conducted. Jute is a natural vegetable fibre which is biodegradable. It works by blocking out the light from reaching any benthic plants. The amazing thing about this jute is that it kills off the Elodea but allows the charophytes to grow through the matting. The jute work on Lough took place in two parts. The first was in 2019 when a single layer of jute was laid from the jetty out into the lake. 3 rows of jute were laid, each measuring 900 metres long by 5 metres wide. Quadrats were selected within the treatment area and outside of the treatment area serving as a control. 13 months after the installation of the jute, very small fragments or stands of Elodea natalii were present in 9 of the 10 quadrats examined, and the percentage cover within each was 10% or less. Following on from this, a year later in 2020, a double layer of jute was applied, creating a wide jute corridor into the jetty. This latter treatment, using double layers of jute, seems to have worked even better than that with the single jute layer, as no Elodea was recorded from 3 of the 10 quadrats, and in all but 1 quadrat, the percentage cover for the invasive species was 2% or less. Where a single layer of jute had been laid in 2018, an appreciable biomass of vegetation was present in October 2019, but most notably, this was dominated by chara species that had grown through the jute to establish large vegetation stands. Where a double layer of jute was laid, the biomass was somewhat lower than at the other 2 sites, but again, charophytes were the dominant flora. It is very clear that the young charophyte plants can easily grow through not only 1 but 2 layers of jute to establish healthy plant stands. Practically no Elodea natalii or broad-leaved Potamogeton species were recorded on the double layer of jute. These jute laneways have been marked by buoys, and boat users are encouraged to follow these lanes in and out of the pier. This will help to reduce the spread within Lough and to other lakes. Alongside this, a permanent panel was placed beside the jetty to inform boat users of the research and how to correctly use these biosecure corridors. Waterproof pamphlets were given to lake users instructing them on biosecurity practices for the lake, as well as how to use the biosecure corridors. In spring 2022, an education programme will be delivered to 12 schools in the Lough catchment. The highlight of the programme will be a bus trip to Lockbrick Bay, where the children will take part in a range of practical activities that will help them learn about the animals and plants that live in Lough, in the reed beds and tributary streams. Following this, there will be a general meeting for lake stakeholders and parents to showcase the outcomes of the education programme and spread awareness regarding the work on the lake. Overall, it would appear that mechanical cutting will remove dense covering of tall growing macrophytes, but this technique alone is not enough to tackle invasive plant species present. Mechanical cutting used in conjunction with the jute proved the most effective way to restore charophytes in an area that was previously overgrown by Elodea natalii. It is the hope of the CANN project that this research has spread awareness to boat users of good biosecurity practices and what they can do to protect Lough against Elodea natalii.